What's the element that you want to improve, and what do you intend to do to improve it? You're breaking a new path. Learn from your mistakes. Let people know that you're learning from your mistakes. This is a process. You're turning the battleship. You all seem very hopeful and enthusiastic, but you all seem to recognize the challenge ahead of you. The change is challenging. And leadership is challenging too. So when you put the two together, you're kind of right in the crosshairs. So we're going to talk about change, what people expect from their leaders, and then to connect the dots. Change is, for most people, hard. Change is difficult. It makes them anxious. They don't like it. So let me ask you, I've heard that you are not unwilling to speak out as a group. When you hear the phrase corporate culture, what does that mean to you?
Traditions within the company.
Traditions within the company.
What behavior is accepted and what isn't?
Accepted and what isn't. So I'd like to offer you a definition that I think really incorporates a lot of what you've said. Patterns of accepted behavior and the beliefs and values that promote and reinforce them. The way we think it's okay to behave in our company, that's patterns of accepted behavior. And then those don't exist in a vacuum. So what are the beliefs that we have and the values that we have that reinforce and promote and underlie those behaviors? So if you look at these as the three important component parts of culture, then if you're going to change culture, you're going to have to figure out how to change one or more of these things. Behaviors are important. They really change the way your business looks and operates. The new behaviors need to seem to be, to people, easy, rewarding, and normal. They'll do a behavior if it's easy, meaning there are no obstacles to their doing it, and they feel they have the skills and knowledge to do it. People think initially of rewards in terms of money, but actually usually that's not on the top of people's lists. You, as leaders, modeling the behaviors that you want, that is a critical way to make it normal. One of the essential parts about being a leader during times of transformation is sometimes you're breaking a new path. You're doing things that people who have been your leaders and managers have not done. So it requires that willingness to kind of get out over your skis a little bit and do things that seem a little scary because you're not sure how they're going to turn out. For the last 10 years, I've been offering this as a model to leaders. It seems to be accurate and it seems to work well. And here's how we came up with this. At the time, my kids were small and I was reading them a lot of fairy tales. There are characteristics of leadership in all these folk and fairy tales that start out where there's a task, right? And there are three brothers, sadly it's always brothers, who are charged one at a time with doing this task. The first two, total failure. They completely mess up in one of a variety of ways. And then the third one, who no one believes in at the beginning and is sitting in the fireplace with rags on, right? He ends up getting to the end and climbing the glass mountain and saving the princess. So not only does he maintain his far-sightedness, his vision, but he articulates it in such a way that it feels inclusive. Other people want to help him. Second is he's passionate. And that doesn't mean loud. It means deep. Passion is depth of commitment. So all along the way, no matter what's happening, they throw him in boiling oil, they put him over a cliff, comes back, keeps going. The leader is always courageous in a different way. He does things that are personally difficult for him if they will benefit the enterprise. That's a higher level of courage. Then he is wise. Often, he's told to do something by the resident shaman, doesn't do it, screws up, all kinds of bad things happen, comes back around, is faced with the same situation again, and does it. He learns from his mistakes. The other part of it is providing objective counsel. The leader always says what's true. Okay, next is generous. Invariably, at the beginning of these stories, there's a little vignette where the kid's going along, he's just left his dad's house, and he comes to an old lady sitting by the side of the road who says, "Can you spare me half of your loaf of bread?" His older brothers, they have just blown her off. He, however, gives her half the bread, and she turns into a wizard and helps him. So generosity, there is always the potential to be generous or not generous, and when the leader is generous, good things happen. And the last one is trustworthy. If that kid says he's going to rescue the princess and marry her, she can go ahead and send out the invitations. It's going to happen, right? His word is his bond. Acknowledge that's tough and then say, and here's where we're trying to go, and here's why it's important. They need you to not have one foot out the door, because it's really helpful to people to know that you're not perfect. Be willing to share with people. Be willing to let people understand what you've learned and what's helpful to them. Empowerment is being generous with responsibility. I hope that you can be the kind of leaders that are always learning, always growing,